also have a disadvantage. I can't hide in a crowd, so you'll always find me. On a more serious note, for the past 2 years, I have been participating in the Finance Committee, Golf Committee, Golf Utilization. I'm Vice President right now of the Men's Golf Association. In general, I see Heritage Pines as a business, and I look at it from a financial point of view, much like Kevin McChrystal, with the exception of golf course management. We don't quite agree on that. My view of Heritage Pines is two-parted. Homeowner dues generate approximately $2.5 million yearly, which I see as operating funds to run our yearly operation of what I call our non-flexible expenses. An example of this would be the tennis or the pool. There are two non-revenue producing items which only require monitoring and managing their costs. This is my view or definition of a non-flexible item. On the second part of that would be golf and food and beverage. On the other hand, these generate income, another $1.5 million a year. Making golf and food and beverage as cost effective as possible with additional income yearly growth, that would be my major objective all the time. They require different managerial skills, such as sales talents, such as pricing, such as margin, such as promotion and purchasing. I got you. That's my view of flexible income that can be moved up and down. I strongly believe in proper fair budgeting and accountability for meeting budgetary requirements. I look at issues and try to take a common sense approach of what's the right decision to be made for the entire community, not just one group. I always consider the economic impact on anything that goes on around here. That's my mind. I look at it from a money point of view. I believe as a board member I can be helpful in the overall continued financial and fiscal health of this place. My motivation for doing this, as Mr. Kelly said, I don't know either. It's not the great paycheck, that's for sure, but somebody's got to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Val Page.
Hi, I'm Val. I've been a resident in Heritage Pines for 7 years. I've lived in homeowner associations for the last 38 years. Some of them were smaller than this and some of them were larger. I think I have a good familiarity on how homeowner associations run. I even worked for one for a couple of years. I look at myself as being the advocate for the residents. I call myself the person who's going to take care of your money, which in all total is keeping your home values up and keeping this place looking pristine. I have a lot of friends and I have some enemies here. It doesn't matter whether you like me or not, because this isn't a personality contest. I'm here to do a job. I think I've tried to do a good job on the board for the last 2 years. And if you look at my record, you'll see that I was looking out for your money. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Val. The second part of this evening will be a series of questions for the candidates. As I mentioned earlier, there are 3 themes. The first theme is commitment to residents and association and villages. I have to get into my stash here. Ken Nelson, will you advocate for a resident who brings a community, village, or individual concern to you as a board member, even though other board members may not be willing to consider it a concern?
Give that one to me again.
I surely can. Would you be an advocate for a resident who brings a community, village, or individual concern to you as a board member, even though other board members may not be willing to consider it as a concern?
I would be an advocate. Is this on again?
I think it's turned off, Ken.
I'd be an advocate from any person that comes to me with a request for anything, and it wouldn't matter to me whether the other board members agree with it or not. I would bring it to the board's attention. And if it's an issue that deserves to be dealt with, I would try as my best to convince them to deal with it and not just put it aside.
Thank you, Ken. I apologize to the candidates that there is a 2-minute limit to the answering the questions. I neglected to let you know that. Jim Kelly, do you have any ideas as to what policies, procedures, and projects that the board should pursue? What are they and why?
Try that again.
All right. Do you have any ideas as to what policies, procedures, and projects that the board of directors should pursue? What are they and why?
First of all, it would have to be, you would have to look at it and make sure that it was ethical and legal. The second part of that would be, what does the community want? What does the majority of the community want to proceed with? For instance, the Master Declaration says there are certain things we have to do as a homeowners association. And so it would be, again, it would go back to what the total community wanted, or the majority of the community wanted, as far as setting policies. And the procedures for those policies would go with, I think it's Florida 720, which dictates what homeowners associations can do and can't do. And I don't know if I've answered the question, but that's best I can do. Thanks.
Thank you, Jim. Linda McCann, what would you suggest to improve the marketing and resale market for the homes in Heritage Pines?
I was a member of the marketing committee. I guess I still am. We put together several items in hopes of pursuing more marketing. The board, about, I'm going to say 6 months, no, it was longer than that, maybe a year ago, did not want to fund any of our current ideas that we had. But this is something we have to look at again, and I would like to see that marketing committee begin again. We do need to always keep that in mind, because that affects our property values. When people are looking, they want to keep the values of the homes up. And I would like to see that marketing committee get back to work again. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Joe Bratt, what programs do you envision for assisting our residents in maintaining a high quality of life as they get older?
Would you repeat that?
Yes, sir. What programs do you envision for assisting our residents in maintaining a high quality of life as they get older?
Well, I think that this community lost the opportunity for that when they gave away the property to the old folks' home, the assisted living. Aside from that, I think that one of the things the community has to look at is a bus owned by the community to take residents shopping and to doctors and things like that. I think that things are going very well around here. We have the community and the building set up for wheelchair access. I myself, a lot of people have brought up my health vision. Okay, just to let everybody know, I've had a heart transplant. I've gone to the hospital several times. My heart is good. It pumps well. So there's nothing wrong with my heart. But whenever I go in the hospital, our neighbors always call always helpful, and we always have people asking, what can we do? And I think it's a matter of the community taking care of each other that'll do things the best for us to keep things going as we get older.
Thank you, Joe. Val Page. What would be your policy on getting input from residents on major issues?
I always like to see maximum resident input on issues. One of the things that I think we could do is a better job of getting the committees formed and listening to the committees when they make recommendations to the board. One of the things that I think we've fallen short on is we don't do enough educating to let people know what the committees do. And I think if people had a better idea of what the committees do and the impact that they had on the community, we would get more response. But I really think that we need to try to get the residents more engaged in giving input into the major issues.
Thank you, Val. Jim Kelly. What steps would you take to bring all residents together to create a sense of community?
I think the first step would be when we had the open house up here with free hors d'oeuvres, there were more people up here than ever showed up before. And I think it would be a financial benefit to food and beverage because people were having beverages that they had to pay for. I think if they came to the bottom line, you would have an amount of more money made than what it cost for the free hors d'oeuvres. But that type of thing, some of the villages do quite a bit of it, some of the villages don't do any of it. And I think that it needs to be a community. And so to bring people up here and give them free hors d'oeuvres, that will bring them, I think, more into the community. Thanks.
Thank you, Joe. Linda McCann. What do you feel are your strongest qualifications for being on the Heritage Pines Board of Directors?
Now that question I like. It's a little easier. My main qualification for being on the board of directors is that I am a current board member and have served on the board for 2 years. It takes a long time to understand how the board operates and just to learn all the ins and outs.